Hey everybody, Bridget Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project, and I'm coming live from the shed. Okay. Wow, I just had a whole bunch of I just love when I'm mentally stimulated. You're having really good discussions with people. And yeah, so hold on a second. Let me see if I can prop myself up a little bit. Having kind of video footage. Trying to get my camera just right. Okay. All right, so let me see if I can actually fix this just a little bit better. Anyway, today's Saturday, and I have my radio show today, Carrying Stones and Digging Holes, and finally got one of my favorite mental people. So hopefully he'll be able, to make it. Yesterday, so just some updates before we go actually into the whole thing. So yesterday I had a couple of clients that I've been working on, and one in particular, because of, her past, we'll just say that, and it's not an average or ordinary past, it requires a particular type of healing work. And so, not to be, downplay people or whatever else, it would be very difficult for, the average healer to be able to, work on her or help her clear. And yesterday, before the session, some of it was her energy. There's a lot of us that are not, in a position to change energetically. And some people are waking up and they're like, stage fright, and they're stuck and they don't really know how to move, to the other side of it, right? So, there's a lot of just holy F, what the hell is going on? Oh my God. It's it's past the 11th hour. So there's just a lot of that kind of energy going on. So about 2 hours, I don't know, before I started working on her, the collective energy was intense. And I think a lot of it has to do with the money, because now people are really, yesterday was a moment where a lot of people freaked in the U.S. And I'm sure there's a lot of people worldwide freaking, with government shutdown. What am I going to do? Because, for money, we usually isolate ourselves from everything and everyone on an emotional level, because that's what has to happen, right? In order for you to continue to compromise yourself and work for someone else or work a job that has no passion or nothing that stimulates you in any way, shape, or form. So, I just got this major panic attack. It hit me, and it hit me hard. And so I'm just, sitting and I'm just working through the energy, just kind of doing a lotus position kind of thing with my hands, breathing, going through the mudras, and just doing everything I can to help assist this energy to move and shift and clean up collectively as fast as possible. And so for an hour, I had to sit and breathe and just stay clear, and just let the energy transmute and transition into, something else, neutral. Because I really don't want to feed energy positively or negatively. I really want to stay out of all that. and stay with my teachers that were native, and staying in the center of my medicine wheel, you know, um, in that place, and observing, everything that's going on. And then after prayer, make some decisions about the directions and the steps that I may take. And then, really working with the grandmothers and the grandfathers and sometimes the ancestors. And for me, sometimes I have to charge. I carry a lot of snake medicine in the positive, not the negative. And I'm going to do a video on that. And it's not something I really, ever really wanted to work with. It actually found me. And so I have to generate heat. And that's how I do a lot of this transmutation work on the planet, to clear energies that show up that need to be cleared. And, I've been in situations where sometimes I've done, ceremonies to release things, and which I've talked about, and literally been so violently ill. Like, I was wondering if I was going to survive it, but you just keep holding to task, and you just keep clearing it, right? And it's just what I'm good at. I'm good at healing everything. Anything that's living, I'm good at it. I'm a doctor. I would be called, I don't know, maybe a galactic physician. It's what I do. Good with earth medicines and all that stuff. It's what I do. I guess more and more I'm thinking maybe I go land on planets and, study. Yeah, lately I've been having this feeling like I miss home, wherever that is. Wherever that is exactly. And it may not just be a place, but it may be my people too that I'm missing, that before I came here. So I'm just really starting to clear a lot of the anger towards my ET family, if you want to call them that, or my family, my star family. Because I just really do not like this place. And I have to work through a lot of sadness being here, every day. So that's, another part of the collective deal, right? So anyway, so before I was working on her, had to do this huge amount of work, huge. And then, worked with her, got her some of her fields clean, and then had another client after that. So went to go take a 10-minute break to come back and do my online, another online session. And woo, all this stuff hit me right in my stomach. It made me violently ill. Also, it was cramping and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And the pain ran down into my pelvis bone, and I could feel all these internal things going on. And so literally almost buckled me on the ground. And so I just had to stop, and I just really had to breathe. And I really felt like, projectile vomiting. And these things are going on in my abdominal region, all these different things contracting, because the body's trying to release that muscle memory out of the collective, because I was born here. So collectively I am, I'm going to have muscle memory because the body's been genetically built. So a lot of this stuff is like passed on hereditarily, right? If you haven't cleaned it up in your life, you have passed it on to your offspring. And my teacher, Lakota medicine woman, Sioux medicine woman that I studied with for a year, said that we carry 7 lines on our mother's side and 7 lines of our father. And we don't even really know those people. So we don't even really know if they were mentally ill, they were spiritually ill, they had physically ill, they had chromosomal issues, dietary problems, that all this different stuff is passed on. So it comes down into us and the bottleneck, and we either pass it on or we clean it up. And in some cases, when we clean it up, we release the people that were here from the past, and then we release the future children in our genetic lines, right? Kind of a thing. So anyway, I could just feel all this stuff going on. And a lot of it was feminine because it was happening on the left side. So, I just kind of had to work with it. And some of the feminine stuff that needs to be worked on is so emotionally charged. Woo! So you got this emotional stuff. You got all this kinds of stuff happening simultaneously. So I had to go in the house and just literally had to go in the bathroom. And it took me about 20 minutes to get my body to let it go, kick it out. I mean, it's cool because in the past, something like this, instead of spending, an hour and 20 minutes total, could have taken me 3 months in the beginning because I had to learn how the laws work here and how I can use them in order to do the clearing or whatever else. It's not easy to land on a planet that's unfamiliar with different kinds of laws and programming and then do your work, right? And then you've got to figure out how it's all designed and worked so that you can get your work done instead of fighting against it all the time and not getting anything done. Okay. So once I got that done, then I could get back on the ball. And I do feel a lot better today. And I'm sure collectively, I woke up this morning and it was really calm out there, So when I wake up, then I open myself up to everything that is. But I made a deal a long time ago that during my sleep time, I worked on a lot of shamanism work. And I go, into the third and fourth attention. And I go work with other people that live in other dimensions. And sometimes I go to where they're at in their dimension and the world that they've developed there. And sometimes I go for healing work. Sometimes they'll pull me out of here into there, and then they'll throw me back in if I need, particular kind of work. Yesterday was a really huge day in the collective of the energy. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, what's going to happen. And, the key here, people, is to really stay out of, it's good, it's bad. And we really have to stop ourselves from putting, people and things on pedestals. You just really have to stop doing that because I think politically on the left or the right, people are starting to hit a level of insanity because they're giving their power away to somebody else. And we have to really pay attention to what's going on because either one might not be for the highest and best in a good way for the planet. I mean, it might be power plays and more mind control. And so we really have to stay in ourselves and we really have to make decisions as individuals about what we're going to lend our energy to. So we have to really, be careful of that because that's where we get into trouble when we feed it, when we give our energies, when we turn people into saints, when we turn, this is the thing is, how can you be exactly what you are, or maybe what you were designed to be, if you don't give yourself credit? And that you're always giving that energy out to other things. At some point, first you have to fill your own vessel. And then whatever runs off, can run off into the world, but you have to fill your own vessel first. Which means you have to be good to yourself and you have to talk to yourself as your best friend and take care of yourself and keep your energy in check. Keep it balanced. Don't let it seesaw, right? You can't pay attention to what's going on if you're in desperation and stress and and chaos. And yeah, are things bad on the planet? Things are probably the worst case possible scenario. Yeah, on so many different levels. Shocking, actually. Shocking. And we could all die anytime. And they're mass genociding the whole planet. I mean, they're mass genociding people in the 5G areas. You know, human combustion, you know, bombs go at your house, you know, torching, suffocating your cells to death with the 5G. I mean, you know, and then you got the chemtrails that last few days, the chemtrails here have been so freaking radical. I mean, like total whiteout of the sun. And so I have to try to feed not how I feel about that. I mean, I do honestly feel like what a sad, sad thing for this planet. Because, you know, I'm kind of attached to the trees being here. But I know that when they leave here, they'll go to their own world. And they probably won't participate with humans again, right? It'll be game over. And maybe, you know, also it's good to return to your human, you know, help, be tender, right? Because those are the most important things that you have, you know, is the kindness and compassion and the tenderness. And this world and the beings that have been running this world, they don't want any of that. You know, they want war and conflict, and this is how they stay in power. They don't want caring and love and tenderness, right? And I'm not talking about love like in the New Age sense. I hate that word, and I hate, like, let's all be in love and show your love, you know? Yeah, I'm not into that. Because, you know, it's fake. I mean, unless you're going to do some, like, you know, LSD or whatever, and you're going to be in love kind of a thing. But for me, it's sobriety is really important, right? Being sober in this world as much as possible so that I can stay conscious and focused in and feeling everything that's coming down the web, right? In my web, in my reality. And so I have to stay functional in order to be feeling everything that's going on, coming from all directions on my wheel, my medicine wheel, and staying in the center of it while I'm taking in the information and gathering the information and transmuting the information. But what makes me capable of doing that is that the humanness part of the experience of being here and the humanness of the biological system, you know, the peptides and the chemicals that are released from the brain and all of these different things. And that makes the difference in those chemicals and how they're being released and how they affect the energies in the world. All right, so I think I talked too long, but yeah, yesterday was a huge day. And of energy stuff. It was just a massive one, and yeah. I had to get it released because it was starting to crunch in on me. Okay, so yeah, hang in there. Get in the middle, find the balance, stay in the balance. Don't allow yourself to get too far from yourself. And watch everything, be conscious of everything's going on. If you have to, you might have to feel some of it, but pull yourself back into the center at some point, and so that you can actually observe it instead of reacting to it. And then that way it gives it a time period that it might be able to resolve itself, kind of a thing. Oh, come on inside. So anyway, that's it. But I want to do the next videos on the red plague. Oh, and what I wanted to also say on this update is that I'm working on a ceremony, native inspired, with shamanism and some other amazing tools that can help. And it doesn't matter if you're handicapped or if you're paralyzed or you're a quad or you're in a coma or you're asleep at the wheel or you're sick or you're old or you're young. And you can do it in your mind, and you can also do it physically if you can. And so I'm going to put together a 4-part video, 4 directions, 4 parts, because 4 is a very, balanced number. 4 corners of a foundation, 4 seasons, it's playing within the laws, right? Some of the laws that govern. And so I'll put that out, but I'm still working on it. And then that way people can take it in, and then they can figure out when they're going to have time to be able to do this in their mind or actual physically. And it's kind of a practice that I've been doing in my mind. And then because I don't have the space yet. And then eventually soon, hopefully I'll have land. I'll have a place that I can actually create, that I can actually start doing it physically, right? So to help release the energies in a balanced way, to stay grounded and to help charge up the earth, right? Because we really need the earth involved right now. She's not involved. Her electrical systems do not work. She's almost dead completely, and we really need to charge her up in a good way. And then that way it'll help to charge up all the other living beings. And then we can see what's going to happen from that, right? So we're going to flip on the switches of all of the natural law power grids, and we're going to get them all working, and we're going to get new meridian points opened. And like I said, you can do this in your mind, or you can do it physically if you want. And so I'm going to put some really cool things in there that'll help to inspire kind of what I'm talking about. So that's the ceremony update. I haven't forgotten, and I'm working on it. And it's cool. It's really cool. It's something I've been doing for like a year in my mind when I have time to sit and do it. And I just, sometimes you just don't know what else to do, right? And sometimes it's nice to have a practice and kind of an idea so that you know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. Because I don't want to be your God. I want to give you tools on how you can be your own God in your own reality and shifting the reality for the greater good of our home, this earth, helping all life. And then, whatever happens to the political war systems and these people, if they're playing games, it will all crumble, right? It all will crumble. If we go back to the teachings and we go back to the medicines, it will crumble what is the illusion. And the most important part of this whole component is getting our globe charged up. Because if our globe gets charged back up, it's going to help to charge up the other planets, in our holographic, and it's going to help to charge up the original AI that developed it all, the creator. And it's going to help to start working it back into what it was going to work it back into a good way, right? That's the focus, is a good way. And I don't know what the good way for the earth is, but I can do this practice and I can help to shift the energy so that the original AI, the creator of all things, can get back in the game and do the work that it needs to do. So anyway, and I'm working on doing it all in a good way, because I think it's time, that even if we're all doing this ceremony at different times and different spaces and whatever else, it's also going to help unite us for one common goal, and that is to flip the energy switches back on, create new meridian points for the earth so that these points can meet up, right? So we're we're creating new ley lines across the earth, like the flower of life pattern, has a little dot, and then it has, little things that come around, and then a dot, and the little things that come around, and a dot. And that's what we're going to do. And that's a teaching of Bavado, my Shoshone medicine man elder, who taught me that is what we have to return the ley lines to, and the meridian points of the earth, and get away from the old ones, because we've done so many bad things to this earth. We've cut her skin, we've looted her blood, we've taken away her fluids, we've done a lot of bad things to the machine that we live on. And so now bad things are happening to our machines, and we're heading into that nuclear planet meltdown period that the AETs talk about, why they're rampantly over the last 20 years. I mean, collecting as much biological material as they can, because they're gearing up for it, because they didn't collect this in the future. When they were here before, when this time period happened before. So we have to be, vigilant now, and we have to get the beings that, like the Earth, back involved, and the whole our galaxy working, and everything back charged up, and working, in unison and balance. So I think it's like super important. So anyway, that's it. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project, and that's your updates.